Meeting to order, and we'll have a pledge by Miss Anderson, please.
Sure.
Or no, you were pledging. You were pledging. I'll pray.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to be here this evening. We're grateful for the opportunity as board members to serve in this capacity and ask for thy help and direction as we try to make the best decisions for our students and our parents and for our staff. We would ask a blessing upon each one of them and their various responsibilities and ask that that would help them to fulfill their responsibilities in the best way that they can and improve and help our students to improve in their education. We're grateful for each and every person involved in the district and for their efforts in behalf of our children, and ask for thy guidance and do so in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Let's see. Item 3.2. Well, no, let's approve the agenda.
I'll move to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item 3.2, election of board officers for the 2020 year. I'll now take nominations for, we'll go with president, and then if we so choose, vice president and clerk.
Make a motion to approve Stacy as our president.
I would second that motion.
Would you, John? I nominate you back.
I know. You got a motion and a second on the floor. You have to let that one go first.
I have a motion and a second. If nobody wants to vote for Stacy, then you can change
Okay.
after that, but I doubt that's going to happen. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'm okay with
Okay. Motion passes. I'll turn it over to you.
it. Hey, nominations for vice president.
Brant, you okay if I nominate you?
Sure.
All right,
I'd
I'd
be happy
like
to
to
serve.
nominate Brant for vice president.
I'll second that. Oh, can I?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I have a motion and a second. Okay.
I'm used to you doing it. Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Do you want a clerk or secretary?
Historically, we haven't had a clerk, have we?
Amy,
We have, yeah, Amy served as the
She
clerk.
did a good job.
you did a really great job.
Do you want to be the clerk, or do you want Amy to be?
Let's have Amy be the
Okay, I'll nominate Amy Dragaskis as the clerk.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 3.4, 3.3, meeting of approval of meeting dates and times and locations. You guys want to keep meetings the same days, or do you want to switch it?
I think it works best.
Good for you? So keep
Does that
it
work for you,
Thursdays?
Mr. Housley?
Yes.
I would move that our regular meetings would be the second Thursday of the month for 2020, and that we would meet here at 6:30 p.m. in the council chambers at the city of Shola.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Official posting of locations, item 3.4. Want to keep that at the district office?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to keep it as it is at the district office.
Madam President, we also post it on board docs. So on our website, it's on there. The official postings in both places. So
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 3.5, legendary staff.
Madam President, members of the board, we would invite Mrs. Clark to come forward this evening.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. This is Mrs. Susan Anderson. She is the finance secretary at Shola Junior High School. She is our legendary staff member for January 2020. It's great to have Susan here with us tonight, and I'm going to share some fun things about her in a minute. But mostly, I just wanted to say how wonderful it is to have such a great office staff who are really veterans that train me. And we have a lot of fun, I think, and we're busy. But one thing that's fun about Mrs. Anderson is she lets me refer to her as you great queen. And she doesn't have her feathers too ruffled about that. So we have a good time. Mrs. Anderson came to Shola Junior High after a career in the dental. And her skills from the world of medical customer service translate to her performance as a representative of Shola Junior High School and Shola Unified School District. She's able to multitask in some of the things that she might be doing at any given time: collecting fees, consulting with teachers about purchase order requests, managing substitute teachers checking in and out, and working our new door buzzer. So she does all those things with a smile on her face. Mrs. Anderson takes special care of our teaching staff. She's mindful in the spring semester to purchase items in advance so they're ready to go when our staff returns in the fall for back to school baskets for our teachers. She also takes extra special care of our regular substitute teachers. At Christmas time, much to my chagrin, I found out that Mrs. Anderson had spent her own money to buy gifts for our regular substitutes and make them feel welcome and like they're a part of the Shola Junior High School family. And we let them know how much we appreciate them through Susan's efforts. I can't say enough about how much I appreciate what Mrs. Anderson does to support me and the students at staff at Shola Junior High School. I know there's so many things that she does on a daily basis that I probably don't even know she's doing. Mostly, she's one of our behind the scenes people, and without her, we would be lost. And so I'm grateful to have Susan with us at Shola Junior High School. Thank you. Oh,
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hall, do we have you come up next?
Well, Mr. Housley, members of the board, it's a pleasure tonight to come before you, and I would like to recognize tonight one of our staff members at Nicholas Homestead. She too is a secretary at our school. This is Tiffany Williams. Tiffany came to our district about 5 years ago, and her first assignment at our district was our librarian. So she worked as our school librarian for a year. In the course of that year, she developed a lot of relationships that were close with students and our staff. She was very motivational and inspiring and helped our children read a lot that year. Some of the comments I heard that year was, "We sure have a nice librarian." I always love that when kids think of their teachers as being nice and loving. That's exactly what Tiffany was that year. After a year of working in the library, we were in need of a secretary, so Tiffany applied and she was selected as our finance secretary. So she's been working as our finance secretary for 4 years. And what a great choice that was for us. Sad to lose her in the library, but thankful that we got to keep her on staff. She became our secretary. These are some of the things that I've noticed, some qualities that she has, some gifts. She's very cheerful. You can see by tonight, she always has a beautiful smile. One thing that I really love, especially coming from the front office, is I love how our children and our parents are greeted by our secretaries. I want them to come to our school and feel like that our place is a happy place and they're welcome to be there. And we are there to serve and help them in any way we can. I appreciate her cheerfulness. She's very selfless. She always has an attitude of service. I love that about her, that she's not thinking of herself, but how can she help and serve our children, serve our teachers. She's optimistic. She doesn't complain. Don't hear negative words ever come from her mouth. And that is a nice thing to hear day after day, especially when things can sometimes be difficult. She's compassionate. She always listens to staff and students. She's smart. She comes to me all the time with solutions to sometimes difficult problems that we face. I love that about her. It's not coming to me in a form of a complaint, but Mr. Hall, what about this? Can we try this? She has integrity. She's always honest, truthful, and very trustworthy. I also love that she has humor, that she can brighten our day with laughter. She even laughs at some things that I say sometimes, so that makes me feel good. And she's always professional. She's always doing the right thing and doing it in the right way. These are some of the things that our staff members have said about her. She goes above and beyond what is expected. She can fix anything, even a copy machine, sometimes when they don't work. She's 100% reliable. She makes sure that we have everything we need, and she can make a bad day turn good. That was a nice comment coming from staff. Kids say some nice things, and this is what some of our kids, when I ask them about Mrs. Williams. She knows how to be nice. She is pretty. And I love this one. I bet she is a good mom. So, I know that Tiffany and Ernie, her husband, they're raising boys, and their boys are in our school district. She's a great parent along with her husband. I just want to say how much I appreciate all the things that Tiffany does. She serves our school so well. Please join with me in congratulating her as a legendary staff.
Mrs. Marsh?
Good evening. It is my pleasure to introduce Claudia Layton as our legendary staff member of the month for our special education department. She's been with us for about 3 years now and is a paraprofessional on our junior high campus. So one of the highlights of my position is that occasionally I'm able to hire a paraprofessional that after spending some time with us comes back to me and says, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And Claudia is one of those people. In fact, now she is pursuing her degree in education. So hopefully she will be back with us as a teacher after a short amount of time. She is very much one of those exciting people for me. I even still have a note she left on my desk one day that said, I love my job. So those are great things. It's still on my wall. So she is a staff member that continually goes above and beyond the description of her job. She's extremely dedicated to the success of the classroom that she works in. The latest example of that was she took the time to apply for a Walmart grant and was awarded $2,000 for our classroom. And so we're going to be able to use that for supplies for our brand new kitchen that we have in our self-contained room. Staff members that she works with describe her as compassionate, kind, dedicated to her students and to our district, and always willing to help in any situation. Students in her classroom say that she's good at what she does. She works with us at any level and any subject that we need help with, and I can talk to her about anything at any time. So she is an asset to our district and exemplifies excellence in working with and advocating for students. Thank you for all you do. Thank you. She has the biggest fan club back there. Those are all hers.
Mr. West? Mr. Swaby, you want to come up?
Mr. March. Mr. Halsey, Madam President, members of the board, I'd like to present today Mr. Donald Payson as one of my legendary staff members for the Maintenance and Grounds Department. Don Payson has been with the district for a few years. He was first assigned as a custodian and then transferred over to the grounds department. Over the past couple of months, Don was given some assignments where he has gone above and beyond the task at hand and caught the vision of what curb appeal we would like to see as a district. For the last few years, a lot of our campuses have been kind of not looking as professional, as good as they should. And I met with Don one afternoon and kind of charged him with, this is your job. I want you to go around the district and find ways to increase what our schools look like so that they look, when somebody goes by, that if it looks good on the outside, it's got to be good on the inside. I mean, especially with all the construction that we've had, they've been kind of downtrodden. If you've been behind the high school by the WMI building, just north of there, there's the new WMI portable or classroom. And then you've got the baseball fields on either side. If you remember that concrete pad back there, it's always kind of looked like, not really sure what the right word is for that. Don took it upon himself to find out who the teacher was that was responsible for that section. He met with him during his preparation hours, worked with the principal. They came up with a schedule. He's cleaned that entire back area where now it looks as though it's not a junkyard, but it's part of our campus, especially now that it's the WMI building's main entrance. He's also working with the teacher currently to figure out how to fix the other buildings that are on that concrete slab to make it look as though it's part of our school. Today, he came to me because he heard that we have our Linden custodian went home sick and he won't be in tomorrow. So Don took it upon himself to come to me this afternoon asking permission to negate his grounds duties to ensure that there's a custodian out at Linden tomorrow to take care of their needs. I'm grateful for Don and his willingness to see and catch the vision of making our campuses look great for our students. You know, it's not about anybody that's in this room, it's about our students. And he's caught a vision and he's creating his own vision to make sure that they're comfortable. I believe that Don is a very valuable asset to the district and our department, and we are very grateful for him and his humor, as well as his ability to reduce the stress of the day. So that's Mr. Don Payson. And this is Mr. Swaby. And you can see as he dresses, he takes everything very seriously. Mr. Swaby came to us in August of 2019 as a field trip driver and a substitute bus driver. The bus that he used for the majority of that first couple months has been called a few different names. I've heard it's called the Hornet, which I don't quite understand. It's called the Pickle because it's that nice green, dull-looking apparatus, right? That bus has been neglected for a long time. You can't even read where it says Sholo Cougars on it. Dimitri, when he came along and he was assigned to that vehicle, he's like this. He goes, no. This isn't going to do. And it's kind of like one of those, what do you mean it's not going to do? That's what we have to drive. And what he meant by that is it can't look like that. Out of his own pocket, he purchased soaps. He purchased things for the inside. He purchased wax. And on his own time, he kept washing that bus and waxing that bus until the dull green actually became a luster. He detailed the inside of the bus so that it looked like it was brand new when he was done. He got those little air fresheners and put all around the bus so that it smelled good for the students when they got on board. We got several compliments from the athletic departments of both the high school and the junior high school. They actually requested him to drive them on their trips because of the way that he interacts with the students. He greets every one of them. He's there for the games. He makes sure that they're comfortable. It's amazing the things that he's able to do. We've asked him during that time he subbed routes for us, and one of the buses that he had to drive was one of our brand new school buses. And before he even went on his route, he had to clean it. It had to be washed because it was filthy. And I asked him, I said, why are you taking the time to do this right now before your route on your own time? He says, this belongs to the district and you have to have pride in what you have. And he was, I can't drive it looking like that. It's too dirty. And he cleaned it because he really believes that when our students step on that bus, it needs to be spotless because it represents our district. Some things that were written by a member of my staff was Dimitri states that you must have pride in what you do and how they represent themselves to others because they represent their employer. Dimitri carries that pride of position with him wherever he goes and with everything that he does. You will never find him without good humor, no matter the circumstances. He quietly helps others whenever he sees that he might be needed. His positive outlook is infectious, and his work ethic is to be admired. Dimitri has been a valuable asset to our district, and we are very grateful to have him. I've joked with him several times, which isn't really a joke. We need to have 14 more Dimitris because when he walks in a room, he opens it up, and we're so grateful to have him. Thank you.
Mr. Marchant?
All right. Good evening. Much like the other principals, I brought my secretary here to honor tonight. God knows that if that were true, we would all be falling apart right now. So this is Chuck Marsh. He's our construction teacher. I'm honored to present to you Mr. Chuck Marsh as the Shoal High School Legendary Staff Member for this month. It honestly feels like an insult to announce him as the Legendary Staff Member of the Month, because he is and always has been legendary for the entire 114 months that I have known him. From his servant leadership to his kind yet firm approach to teaching, he represents everything that Shoal High School expects out of its teachers. I cannot explain Mr. Marsh and his impact as a teacher without first explaining how he is as a person. Chuck is one of the greatest human beings that I have had the privilege of working with. When I first came to Sholo as a young, fresh out of college, first-year teacher, Chuck showed me the ropes. He helped me to understand high school students and the balance of keeping high expectations but not getting broken down when they continue to fail to meet those expectations. He helped me personally, without hesitation, on rebuilding my home. He now has been available to help me with raising my own 2 children, mostly through the example that he has set with raising his amazing 3 boys. After my first year of teaching, I was hired as the new head boys soccer coach and was tasked with building a coaching staff around me. Mr. Farrell Adams gave me simple advice to hire good people first, and the soccer coaching skills can come later. The first good person I thought of was Mr. Marsh. He had years of experience coaching track, football, and everything except, you guessed it, soccer. I don't think he knew what a soccer ball looked like, and so I hired him. And 10 years later, Coach Marsh has been the one consistent soccer coach in that highly successful program. And he has served as a constant reminder that I must always hire good people first, and the rest will work itself out later. If you go ask any student, parent, or staff member in this school about Mr. Marsh, they will each tell you the same thing about his character that I just described, and will each have unique stories of how he has changed their lives too. We could not be more blessed to have him in our school community, and I'm excited to have him for another 20 or 30 years.
Okay.
Thanks, Coach Marsh.
Thank you.
Can I get a picture of all the legendary together? All here.
All the staff? Yep. If all of you will come down that were recognized this evening. All those who were recognized this evening, if you'll come down for another picture, that would be great.
Or if you're yet to be. Ready? Got it. Thank you.
Total bubbles.
What?
Total bubbles. As the board returns, I just want to express my appreciation as superintendent for our legendary staff. Thank you for your service to our district, to our children, and we sure appreciate all that you do. I know that a little recognition goes a long way, but it can't possibly give back what you've given to the district, so thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, item 3.6, call to the audience. Anything, Brandy? No? Okay. Item 3.7, superintendent report, Mr. Housley.
Madam President, members of the board, just a few things to report on. We have, we're back in school. We're back in session after a nice winter break. And things are rock and roll. And the spring semester seems to go by really, really fast. And so we're just trying to hold on and put things in place to help us be successful. I wanted to report just a little bit on our overall utility usage. You'll notice that we had in November, compared to November of 2018, we had a 21% decrease in energy costs. And so the things that we did as part of the bond, as we looked from August to November and into December, we're noticing that those were of good effect. So great decisions there to make those changes, and it's proving to pay out for us. We finished our first semester. We took our benchmark tests, and everything looks on track. Each of the schools are performing at or better than where we were last year at this time, and so we have some good expectations for things going forward. Winter sports are in full effect. Wrestling and boys and girls basketball are all making it happen. We, unfortunately, as everyone's aware, we're not able to use our gym right now, but just the other day we were in there, and they are to the point now where the air conditioning and heating units are in. They are starting to put the sealant on the concrete floor to seal the moisture from coming up. They should complete with that here shortly, and then begin to lay the floor. It looks like the floor itself will be, the drop dead date for that would be April 3rd. They're hoping to finish early, but let's don't be hopeful in that manner. Let's just look at April 3rd as the time, and then we have about 3 weeks of installation of bleachers after that. As soon as the bleachers arrive, then it'll be 3 weeks of install. So we're hoping that the reveal of the new arena will be right around graduation time. It better not be longer. That's all we have to say about that. But our boys and girls basketball, the plan that was put in place by the teams that's been carried out, I think it's gone with limited hitches. You can expect that there's some obstacles in as many kids as we're moving in facilities that we're using for those teams, but nothing major. They report that it actually is seeming to work out okay. So that's my report, Madam.
Thank you. Item 3.8, future board agenda items. Is there anything? No? Okay, item 4.1, approval of overnight and out-of-state travel.
Madam President, members of the board, there's many of them here. I'll just say that all the spring sports, all their travel is outlined there in the agenda. Should the public want to look, they can see those, but that's just any time that we have a tournament or state tournament, those are all involved there, as well as we have Mr. Marchant is requesting that Marshall and Jill Pratt take 10 students to the American Southwest Honor Band. That would be February 20th to the 22nd. We also have Marshall Pratt and Cynthia Whipple taking 26 students to Eastern Arizona Honor Festival at EAC. That's January 28th and 29th. Mrs. Clark is asking that John Wilhelm and the assistant coaches of the wrestling team take the junior high wrestling team to the Arizona State Junior High Wrestling Tournament in Prescott. That's January 31st through February 1st. And then Mr. Marchant is asking that we approve Cynthia Whipple take the choir moms, or excuse me, she's not taking the choir moms. She and the choir moms are taking the showbiz to NAU in Flagstaff to the Jazz Festival. That is February 6th through the 7th. I would ask for your approval for these out-of-state and overnight travels.
Make a motion to approve out-of-state and overnight travel.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 5.2, approval of resignations, retirements, and terminations. I'm sorry, 5.1, approval of new and revised positions.
Madam President, members of the board, if you remember, we applied for money through the school safety grant. We applied for positions at all the schools within the district. It took a long time for the result to come back from that application process because there was $100 million worth of requests for $20 million worth of positions throughout the state. We were very fortunate to not only receive one position, but two positions, and that would be a counselor at Whipple Ranch and a counselor at Nicholas Homestead. Those two positions are fully funded through the grant. We can renew the grant just like a regular grant cycle that we've experienced with our SRO grant. I believe it's a 3-year cycle. We have until, from this point of the approval, should you approve it tonight, until August 20th to fill the position, or else we lose the money. So we will be very active in trying to find counselors to fill those two positions. There is a list of criterion that it has to be, and those two positions are only dedicated to the site that they were granted at.
When does the position open for start?
Tomorrow we will open the position if you approve it, and we will start ASAP.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2 new positions.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 5.2, approval of resignations, retirements, and terminations.
Madam President, members of the board, we have some resignations. Marcia Bain, a high school paraprofessional. Ashley Connor is the high school secretary. That would be the opportunity to extend until March 18th if necessary. I know we considered her resignation earlier. This is just the possibility to extend out. Her circumstances have changed slightly, so she could actually help in the transition as we try to search for a replacement in that position. And then retirements, Lori Douglas, accounts payable, effective the 31st of March. And then Sue Menlev will be retiring at the end of the school year. She's our speech language pathologist. And I bring these for your consideration.
The motion we approve is stated.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 5.3, approval of new hires, renewals, and transfers.
We have a few for your consideration this evening. Lisa Gerberry, high school food service worker, 1. Maddie Matthews, a junior high EDP paraprofessional, 2. Amanda Maurer, a sub bus driver, and David Maurer, a sub bus driver, and then Thomas Sharp, Whipple Ranch food service worker, 1. That's a 5.5-hour position, as well as the other food service worker. Also student practicum, Tyler Yeager, to do a student practicum at Linden Elementary in 4th grade during this spring, and then transfers Ian Holiday from a bus route driver, 5.5 hours to 6 hours, and then Sandra Padilla, junior high EDP paraprofessional to Whipple Ranch paraprofessional 2. I bring those for your approval at this time.
I'll make a motion to approve new hires and transfers.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 5.4, approval of substitute.
Madam President, members of the board, for your consideration, certified substitutes, Fernando Aguirre, substitute K-12, Vicky Hall, K-12, Norman McCabe, same K-12, and Anna Rodriguez, substitute K-12. As a classified substitute, Bridget Fisher, a sub-parapro, and Crystal Johnston, also a substitute parapro, for your consideration this evening.
I'll motion we approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 5.5, approval of stipends, volunteers, and event workers.
There is a number of them, since we have spring sports included in there, and those event workers that have been working, they are available on as an attachment in the board. I bring those to you for your consideration this evening.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
It was my understanding that our individual we're hiring or approving tonight for the high school softball position took a medical leave last year. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Did we receive, has he provided any kind of medical clearance that he's able now to complete the essential functions of the job?
He actually just took a leave of absence. It was for medical reasons, but it was just a leave of absence. But he is cleared to work and cleared that. We haven't received a medical a notification specifically for that, but he's returned to full function.
So we don't have anything that medically clears him?
Mm-mm. There wasn't anything that medically, the reason was a result of a medical thing, but that wasn't disqualified him either. So, but we'll follow up.
And then the other thing too, I noticed under volunteers, you have an individual named Taylor Clark, who is a volunteer for the high school softball program. And I believe that name's incorrect. So I believe that name should be Taylor Reedhead, Mr. March.
That is correct.
Not, yeah.
That is correct. Thank you for catching that.
Yeah. When it's your last name, you probably, I'm sitting there thinking, that person's not going to coach softball. Because I have a niece named Taylor who's Taylor Clark. So
we noted that in the minutes. Thank you.
mm-hmm.
Also, you'll notice on there is the TSI committee that Jamie Ramsey, that was our committee that was formed because we had some grant money, because we had a specific targeted group of students that we got grant money for, that we had to create a committee around. And the committee then is the ones that formulate those plans, and there's a stipend built into that grant money.
Make a motion to approve stipends, volunteers, and event work.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. No policy matters, right? Okay, item 7.1, consent agenda, Mr. Schubert.
7.1 is the
Business
bond.
and Tax Finance.
Bond.
Bond update, who's going to do it? You, Mr.
I will do
Schubert?
that.
Okay.
Just to give you a little brief update, I know we talked about this in the last couple of board meetings. I've attached 2 different correspondence for you for your so that you know where we're at with this. We've visited with an architect to come in and look at design services to provide ADA access. He notes in his notes that the auditorium was built prior to ADA coming on board and those requirements. Therefore, there are some things that if we begin to remodel, we want to consider. He's given us an outline of the scope of what it would be to go to design. He's come and he's gotten the plans for our building. He's also taken it upon himself to go to the sister buildings, if you would, so to speak, in the valley that were built at the same time by the same architect, and look at what upgrades they've made to those buildings to kind of get a feel for what might work in design. And so if we choose to move forward with that, we can procure his services and move forward. But that is one option that's out there to look at, which has been some of the concerns with the auditorium. He does outline some of the things that he feels are concerning there. Access to the bottom of the house, for example, a ticket booth that doesn't provide ADA accessibility. So there are some things that are concerned there. Also, there is an email correspondence that you see in there between Brandy and Clearwing, which is the group that did the evaluation of the auditorium, and they're also the ones that will provide a quote for the things that need to be taken care of on the infrastructure on the stage. There's some things that moving parts that are as old as the auditorium, and we would like to get those replaced and updated. They're the ones that will provide that for us. And so, as you noted, there would be sometime in the middle of January that we would receive that. To tonight, we still haven't received that. And so we're waiting. We're going to reach out to them and see if we can't prompt that to happen a little bit faster. But that's where we are. That auditorium, the reason why we're on hold with everything else, because that auditorium could eat up the rest of what we have sitting there.
How much do we have right now of the bond?
$500,000, right around $500,000.
I wonder some of the other needs we could spend the money on.
Some of the other needs that we could spend the money on, we have needs. We've talked about camera infrastructure at all of our sites. That looks to be about $150,000 if we wanted to put new cameras in all of our school sites. That's one thing that is there as far as safety. The priorities are the safety, and we also are looking at our white fleet, where we've explored one meeting for a solution that would result in the replenishment of all of our white fleet, but that would be about $100,000 commitment out of our bond money should we choose to use it that way and commit it that way, but it would provide new vehicles throughout our whole white fleet. And then there's we could bring more details as we get more information about that, but we have explored that. Mr. Schubert met with a company to provide us some information on how that might. So we're exploring those things, but every time you open up your pocketbook to spend some, it sounds like $100,000. That's what it feels like every time you get a quote. So those are some things that are there. There are also some other things that are cosmetic, but those wouldn't be priority. Those are way down the list if there was ever things that were.
Thank you. Item 7.2, 100-day enrollment report, Mr. Hosley.
Mr. Schubert will actually visit with you on that one.
So just wanted to wish you all happy 100th day. That's what today is our 100th day for this school year. The 100th day is important for a couple of different reasons. It gives us what we are going to be basing our budget on for this year. If you remember, when we proposed the budget, we came to you with a 2% increase in ADM over the previous year. You had asked for a 4%, which we provided you, and which is what you had approved. So I'm just going to give you a quick 10-year history on our ADM and how that has fluctuated over the course of the last 10 years. So, Mel, if you got the slides. Okay, there we go. So back in 2010, our ADM on the 100th day was 2,367. When we go into the next year, 2011, our ADM was 2,292, which decreased by 75. The following year, we decreased another 47 students to 2,245. Or if you're looking at the baseline year of 2010, we've decreased 122 students by 2012. In 2013, we increased 45 students over the previous year, but still left us in a deficit of 77 students over our baseline year of 2010. In 2014, our ADM was 2,242, which was a decrease of 48 over the previous year and a decrease of 125 over the baseline year. In 2015, our ADM was 2,281, which increased by 39 over the previous year, but still left us in a deficit of 86 students from 2010. 2016, we increased by 5 to 2,286. And that increase just made our decrease from our baseline year of the 81. 2017, we were flat. We did not see any growth whatsoever. So we remained at 81 short of our baseline year of 2010. In 2018, we've seen a huge increase. Our ADM for 2018 was 2,426, which is an increase of 140 over the previous 2 years, because remember, they were flat, and an increase of 59 over our baseline year. So this year, we budgeted 2,440 as our ADM. As of January 13th, the state had us at 2,371, which is a difference of 69 from what we had budgeted. That difference comes out to roughly $286,000 that we are over budgeted. We won't know what the actual number is until the report comes out, come out early February. Oh, there it is. I would not see it changing much from what it is reported on the 13th. I don't see us have gaining 80 students over those few days, but that's where we are as of today. That's what the ADE shows as our ADM on the 13th, which, like I said, it's probably not going to change very much from that point. But that is your history of ADM.
Thank you.
So what's the if we would have budgeted at a 0%, how many are we over on the 100th day? What's that number?
It's just under 2%.
So we're at a 2% growth from last year.
Yes.
So we actually, if we would have done a zero-based budget, how much would we have lost out on?
Roughly $286,000.
So even though, can you go back that one slide? So even though we didn't meet the 4%, we still got the 2%?
We did get the 2%.
Okay.
And there's a few other variables, as you know, that'll work into the overall total of the budget, which is the weighted ADM. When we budget and it's just strictly non-weighted ADM, then there's also students that are weighted, special needs students. There's a little bit different weight. So based on if we saw an increase in those categories that are higher weights, the weighted ADM might fluctuate a little bit higher. So
Okay. So my understanding is we calculated 4%, we came in at 2%, but we allocated any type of the growth over 0%. We allocated that into a fund that we weren't going to touch until we knew exactly what the number was, right?
Correct.
And so, okay. So we're not sending $269 that we've already spent back to the state.
No, it's $269,000 that I have sitting in a fund that we just haven't touched the entire year.
Okay. And what's that allocated for right now? Have we discussed that yet?
No, we won't do anything with that until we know exactly what the number is. Because like Mr. Housley said, the numbers that I have given you are based solely on flat ADM and the base support level. So there's no weights attached. So if any of these, if our K3 numbers went up, we get a boost for K3. If it's anything within our SPED areas that we didn't budget for. So if we ended up getting higher weighted students out of SPED, that number is also going to increase. So this is based solely on baseline numbers.
Okay. So right at this point, we don't have that. I mean, what line item is that in? I know that we have to put it somewhere. So what is it?
I have it stuck in a benefit.
Benefit? What do you explain?
A benefit. It's a budget category for a budget line for salaries and benefits.
Okay.
So it's sitting within the benefit.
So if we wanted to use that for some of these bond projects that we may not have the money to fully fund, can we do that before July 1st, or do we have?
Yes. What we would end up having to do is, depending on what type of expenditure was, we may have to move it into our capital fund. But once we move money out of M&O into our capital fund, we have lost that spending capacity, but increased our capital, and we cannot bring it back in.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
Okay, item 7.3, discussion and approval of the 2020-21 Talon IGA between Northland Pioneer College and Show Low Unified School District.
So before you tonight for your approval is the IGA with the Show Low School District and NPC for the Talon project. The Talon project, if you remember correctly, for lack of a better term, it's more like a distance learning type of program. And this is to approve us to use it in the upcoming school year, the 2021 school year. We're already good for this year. This is for the upcoming school year, and there is a fee that is attached to us running that program for the upcoming year.
Is this the same program we've ran in the past couple of years?
I believe this is the first year that we're running it.
We have been on the outside looking in. When the Talon grant came about, we as a district, this was a number of years ago, but we chose not to participate for whatever reason. I don't really know the history behind it, but we weren't involved. Basically, the Talon grant services high Native American populations in schools. That's the premise of it. And so we didn't have the grant. There was a grantee that had fallen out this last year, and a slot came open, and they knew our intent that we wanted to participate in some way. So NPC reached out to us, and we've been participating this year with some of our classes. And so basically, under the grant, there's no fees to it, and it's a zero fee college tuition. However, the grant expires at the end of this year, and so what you see before you is the fee that's going to have to pick up because the grant's leaving. And so for us to continue to have those offerings. So our students sit in front of big monitors in a classroom with cameras and microphones, and a teacher at NPC, or whether it's NPC Show Low or NPC in Holbrook or wherever they might be, teaches a class, and high school students throughout Navajo and Apache County who are involved in this participate in that class.
Entertain a motion.
I'll motion we approve the IGA between NPC and Show Low School District.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 7.4, discussion and approval of District 403B plan documents. Mr. Schubert.
So just to make some informational for you. A 403B plan is the government equivalent of a 401k plan. So it's the opportunity that our employees have to invest into retirement plans. There has been some changes in the tax code. So the IRS had sent out a change in our plan documents to our plan holder, Omni, and Omni sent that on to us. We sent it off to our attorneys. So the IRS, our attorneys said this is all good. So we just need you guys to go ahead and approve this tonight. There's just some small changes that don't even affect our employees within the code. So we're just bringing this to you tonight for your approvals.
So our employees won't see any difference
No,
in
no,
their contributions or their ability to participate in this plan?
no. It doesn't change how the limits aren't changed. It's the big things that they've changed in there is there's no longer a requirement to take out a loan against your 403B. You can just go ahead and cash it out. There's a longer period of time for repayment, if you do take a loan out on your 403B plan. So those are the types of things that are involved with it.
I need to
Yes.
entertain a motion.
I'll motion that we approve the District 403B plan.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 8, consent agenda. Mr. Schubert.
So tonight we bring for you for your approval the following: the ratification of our expense and payroll vouchers, the ratification of our junior high school food service activity revenues and expenditures, the approval of the governing board minutes from the December 12th regular meeting, and the following donations. Tim Livingston donated winter coats for 6 students at Linden Elementary, valued at $120. Community members have donated $122 to the robotics team. Lamel and Connie Lewis donated $100 to the robotics team. Walmart donated $2,000 to the junior high EDP classroom for kitchen supplies and kitchen items. Dan Roper donated a John Deere 4-wheeler to the junior high athletics department, valued at $1,000. We bring you tonight for your approval.
I'll motion we approve their donations.
Whole consent agenda item.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's right. I apologize. So I'll motion we approve the entire consent agenda. I haven't done this in a while.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second it.
Motion passes. See you guys next month.